Brews and Banner Podcast. Brews and Banner Podcast. What up? Welcome to Brews and Banner Podcast. I'm your host, Rob G. And with me, as always, is the Legendary Brew Crew. What up, fellas?
I got water, I got, juice or whatever. He's like, y'all need twin legs? Matter of fact, I do.
To everybody is,
does Delaware have an actual culture?
This is the podcast that we talk about beer, but we also talk about a lot of things that's happening in the world, politics, movies, anything really that comes to our mind while we're here sampling these brews. Grab a drink and pull up a chair. What up? Welcome to Bruising Banter Podcast, where the topic be the rockin' and the brew. Well, that be the fuel. And I'm your host, Rob G. And with me, as always, the Legendary Brew Crew. What up, fellas?
Yo, what is going
on,
Hi.
Everyone?
Hi.
Hello.
This is episode 73? 73? Yep. Episode 73 of Bruising Banter Podcast. And it is, again, our social distancing series. And today we have three remarkable guests. I use something different than...
I know. Illustrious.
I thought you was going to say illustrious, but...
Nah, remarkable.
Again.
Hey. Or it could be illustrious. You could be illustrious. Remarkably illustrious.
Whatever you want.
All right. So we do have three guests with us today. First off, we have Kavonna in the building. How are you?
Welcome.
Hello.
Did you say hello?
I did, like three times.
I heard, I saw a wave. I'm like, what? That ain't gonna work.
She said, hello.
Hello.
All right.
Good to see you again. Good to see you again.
Same.
Thank you for coming on. I appreciate you.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
It's only been like 2 years, but...
Relax yourself, okay?
And next up, we have Denise,
Yes.
a.k.a. Kinky Sudz.
Yes.
How are you?
Hello.
Welcome.
From the West Coast.
Yes.
Word.
I'm going.
And last but not least, we have Afro Beard Chick in the building. How are you?
Hello. Welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
I'm loving all that great artwork you got going on behind you in your backdrop. I'm loving the
He started
early. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
He ain't had nothing to say about Kavonna. Look,
I told her good to see her again.
I'm talking about the background, though. The background.
That looked like her bed too.
It is. And
Sitting up in her room like Brandy.
Just comfortable.
Right. All right. Well, we have met all our guests. So before, I always need to know before we jump into it, I need to know what everybody is drinking today.
Nice.
Well, Kavonna, we'll start with you. What are you drinking today?
I am drinking Villager by 4 Point Beer Company. Can't
There
see
we
it.
go. There you go.
Sorry.
Come on, get it right.
It is a
I can't see
3%.
anything.
It's how what percent?
You said 3%?
3%.
I thought that.
Oh.
I'm just joking. It's a 6%.
I had a 3% the other day. What was that, last week? Or the week?
Yeah.
That
And
didn't even count.
Oh, she got
I
two.
have a second beer. These are both California. This one is 1-2 Punch. It's a peach and mango hazy
Drunk a lot
IPA.
already, huh?
Yeah, it's a
Right.
That's a mangy right
It's
there.
like, man,
How much did you drink? Because you talking about
So
making
that's-
At least
you already started off early.
Honestly, guys, I have been up since 5 a.m. because I needed to work out and do my hike before I jumped on. Because this time frame is when I'm
productive.
usually out on a trail. So I wanted to get everything done.
Okay.
Okay.
So I'm like a
Okay.
little, and then I was up really late. I went to Oakland and did some things last night.
Oh, you did.
No.
You were looting. Is that
So you were in
No.
that BMW.
you were
in that
Organized.
BMW
She was
shop.
organized noise.
Protesting.
No, it
Organized.
sounded like she was looting. She would have just said organizing or
No,
things.
I wasn't
I
organizing. I don't
stole?
organize anything. I was participating.
There you go.
I got in late. and I got on early, so I'm just like,
Yeah.
Okay.
I get it.
Gotcha.
It's all right. I hope that mangy tastes good.
mango.
Did you say what the breweries were? Who the breweries were?
The first one is Crooked Lane, and they're in Auburn,
Okay.
in California, rather. I'm sorry. And then this one is, I want to say they're San Francisco. Yeah, this one is San Francisco.
That's the name of the brewery, San Francisco.
No,
No, she said it's called Two.
Fort Point. I said that in the beginning.
Oh,
You need
I
to pay
didn't
attention.
hear. My bad.
Yeah, you can hear it all today.
Sheesh.
He's like, what'd she say? Did she say hello? What brewery?
Right. She just, I thought she just
Figure
waved.
it out.
Maybe she's talking low,
Right.
low, and too low for me.
Rob's just blocking her out.
Yes.
He ain't listening at all. He like, what?
Well, she didn't say the second one, so I was right on that part.
You were.
Yeah.
Sheesh. I'm just trying to make sure so when I go back, I'm just making sure it's covered. That's
Make
it.
sure we cover.
Okay.
I could do it.
Denise, what are you drinking today?
Oh man. So I am drinking a West Coast IPA, 7.1%. I think that's a good way to start. It is from 8-Bit Brewing Company, and it's their Brewmance, True Brewmance. Right?
Nice. I like it.
So
I like it.
I'm a big gamer, so anytime there's any type of reference back to 8-Bit, I'm always like excited about it. And I also have to put this into my beautiful, brand new Black People Love beer glass. So shout out to Crown and
There
House
you
for that
go.
one.
Shout out to them.
Yeah,
So we'll see what I got. I got a
Cheers.
bunch of other beer. We'll see what I feel like after I finish this, what I'm gonna get next. But I got a couple like stouts. I do have a big stout that's in there. I might go and get that next because then I'll be real smooth for the rest.
I'll give
of
you a pour of my stout.
Listen, that stouts are one of my favorites. I love just the heaviness of them. I'm starting to get better with my IPAs. Because at first I was like,
Well, I'm feeling it.
I wasn't
Okay.
feeling it, but
Me too.
now I think it's an acquired taste. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I was opposite of you.
yeah.
I was
you were
opposite.
opposite.
I'm IPA lover, and then Rob really put me into the stout world.
Yeah,
so,
stouts are.
Same here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Same.
See, I started off with the darker. I was like, the darker the better, but
Oh, okay.
I'm just saying.
So
Black
did
of
you
the
say-
berry, sweet of the juice.
Are we still
You know what I'm saying?
Are we still talking about beer? Beer conversation?
You got where I was going with that one.
I got it.
Oh, you
I
got
think
the
we all got that one. Now, did you say what brewery you is from? I'm just joking. I know you said
I'm gonna say,
it.
let me get real close so we can have it on there.
Right.
I'm joking.
No.
8-bit.
I heard it. I heard that one.
Yeah.
He's like,
Afro
yeah,
Big.
okay.
Uh-huh. Still throwing shots. Still
Keep
throwing
it
shots.
moving. Keep it moving.
Afro Beer Chick, what are you drinking today?
Well, right now I'm drinking
Three in.
technical
Mm.
ecstasy.
Right
That
now.
checks out
Right
right
now.
now. So that's my first. Then to line up,
First,
I have Fantastic Voyage from Perennial in St. Louis.
Oh, I like that.
And I also just poured me a shot of the double oak Woodford Reserve. So I got my whiskey,
Okay.
my bourbon.
Yeah.
Head
Oh, okay.
We
So
ain't got to go nowhere.
She came to
somebody
slug.
needs help.
he gonna be feeling real good halfway through.
I'm concerned at this point.
But
You gonna hurry
I'm
this
saying that
last?
now, D
You
Nice,
gonna
but
last?
Yeah,
we
she
don't
revealed
know.
shit she
We
never
don't know
revealed.
what kind of drinker she is.
We gonna be able to ask her
We'll
whatever
see
you
how
want.
strong she is through this.
Right, we got to see what
Some
kind of
people
drinker is she
Start
is
strong,
because
you like, oh shit.
Again, hold on. Remember now, I had already had a shot of whiskey in my coffee. I already got
See?
it.
Right, we
You know
know.
what that means? She got no filter. She got
I'm
no
riding
filter.
the wave right now.
I'm good.
Yeah,
Get
her
going.
interview,
Bye.
her interview gonna be crazy.
She's gonna be like, one time I touched the baboons, but remember this.
Really? It was
She's
so
gonna be like, what?
All right, Lou, what you drinking?
I went to Dover, Delaware.
Lou's frozen.
Frozen.
I'm frozen. Can you get me? Got me?
Frozen
Yo,
like the movie.
you was froze on a good smile though, brother. I'm gonna give you that.
Appreciate you. Thank you. I've been trying to smile the whole time
Yeah,
because
nigga,
I
you was
can't.
really
It's
smiling.
always it freezes all the time. But we went to Dover, Delaware, local to us. the Mid-Atlantic tradition since 1995. Wow. The 11th sour. There you go.
11th sour.
It's from Fordham Dominion Brewery Company. Devin, I need your help. Denise, I'm gonna need your help. It's 3.8% alcohol by volume.
Yes, you need a bump.
Yeah. It's
you can
real
borrow
light.
some of my 10.5.
It's
or you
real
need to take
light.
a shot.
Dude, 10.5. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, it's real light, but it tastes delicious. So I'm gonna go with that. I like
You know
it.
what?
Pass
That
me
just
another.
means he's a marathoner. That's all it is. He's just a marathoner.
Yeah.
That's
At
what it
least
is.
my low one was in a can.
No, yours was like 3.8. Yours was like 3.8.
But they wasted a bottle on that.
Now, D Nice, you said maybe he's a marathoner. We happen to have lost files to show that he's not.
Yeah, I'm not
Damn.
a marathoner at all. I'm gonna drink 2 beers. This one and this one. From 10 Barrel Brewing Company. This is a crushed raspberry sour.
Ooh.
Remember, guys, we had the cucumber sour.
Oh yeah.
This
how
is from
was that?
the same company.
Oh,
Cucumber sour was not too bad.
Cucumber water,
Nah, the
but like,
cucumber
how
sour
was-
was really good.
It wasn't
was
too
it?
bad.
Okay.
But if you don't like, if you enjoy cucumbers enough, then it was pretty good.
Yeah.
Like
I
if you
love
like
eating
cucumber
cucumbers. I
water,
just hate
if
them
you
in
like
water.
cucumber water, it's a perfect transition.
But she said she don't like cucumber water.
I just like eating them raw. That's just me. But
Hey, you may like it. I don't know.
maybe I'll try it. I'll try anything once. Well, within reason.
Yep.
Let me say that.
Deb, what you drinking?
Ooh, me over here.
He's just like-
So I am drinking this Prodigal 2018
That's a 40.
Perennial Artisan.
He said that's a 40.
Hold on. Your
My sound?
audio went out. Yeah, there you go. You back now, but
I'm back.
He's trying to be
Okay.
all sexy with his voice.
Oh, was I?
Yeah, code 45 works.
I went real spokesperson, huh?
Billy Diaz.
Spokesperson.
Great.
This is what it's Billy Diaz. Look at him.
Hold up.
Hold on.
Hold up.
45.
I'm drinking this
Put it closer to the screen. Thank you.
2018. It's because the label is kind of wet.
Oh,
so
yeah,
it's kind of
He already got things wet over there. Damn.
It's sweating. It's sweating.
oh, we know where her name comes from now.
Smooth voice.
Now we have to ask
Yeah,
her.
there's no need to figure that out. That's not a question anymore, Rob. We understand exactly where the name came from.
Exactly.
Coffee dark, beer dark. Yeah.
But this is their Imperial Oatmeal Milk Stout with a massive fudge and roast malt character.
Man, that sounds banging.
And they're out
That's a good
of
one.
St. Louis.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what same here. That's same people.
Yeah.
That's
Oh, is it?
Nice.
Same company?
same
Yeah.
one. Yeah.
Same
Yeah.
brewery.
Yeah.
So
All right.
I'm loving it, man. I mean, just to show you the color, because you can't really see it in the bottle, but very, very dark.
dark.
You
Yeah.
taste the fudge.
Nice.
You get deliciousness in every note. Look at that good coating in that glass.
All the deliciousness.
Look at that. All
Oh, the delicious.
All of it.
I love that we all did this.
that. Yes.
Yo, what you drinking?
So what I got is Left Hand Brewing Company. Bow.
Yo, I was going to get that yesterday.
Well, you didn't. I
Yep,
That is
I did.
so good.
It's the Galactic Cowboy. This is
Love that
Nitro
one.
Imperial Stout. This thing's a 9. Wait, what? Oh, it's a 9%er.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I could tell.
Yeah.
Gotta have it. But yo, it's a smooth stout though. It's banging. It's out of they're out of Longmont, Colorado. I drink a lot of Left Hands now I think about it.
Yeah, you do.
But that stouts be banging. So I rock
I
with
mean,
this one. Yeah.
Left hand, that's a good one. I've had that
This is
one.
what it look
before.
like in a cup. It's nice and dark.
Left hand, yo.
Yeah. I'm not gonna do that because that don't even sound right.
Well, left hand lube sounded better, but I couldn't.
Yeah, left hand loose sound better.
All right, and I am drinking from our hometown brewery, from Bellefonte Brewing Company. It is the Orange Street Ale. It's one
Oh,
of
look at
their
that.
most-
I know what that's inspired by.
It's one of their most popular beverages when you go into the tap house.
Nice.
It's like a cream ale. It has slight orange flavor to it, but it is when people come into the tap house, they say, "So what should I drink?" I don't drink nothing heavy. We always starting with the Kolsch or the cream ale. It is a 5.8% ABV.
Okay.
And I am also drinking a stout, an old one. Well, it's not old, but it is a King of Lombok. Levante.
Yeah, bring it to the screen a little bit more.
Imperial Coffee Stout.
Yeah, that's banging
Got a
too.
little mouse on there.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah.
Nah,
What's that called, yo?
The King of Lombok.
I forgot what the.
What's the brewery?
I
didn't catch the brewery.
Levante. Levante. Only I can do that. Yeah, but I forget it's that that cat.
Yeah,
or whatever it is.
What it's called. Some kind of cat. Yeah.
Yeah, but the proceeds go to the Indonesian Red Cross.
It ain't a
something like that.
No,
it's the one that. It's like the one that they use the cat poop, whatever.
Yeah.
Poop.
Yeah, I forgot what they call it.
What you talking about?
Yeah, he eat the coffee beans and poop it out.
Oh, the coffee beans from them. Oh, yeah.
Right.
Just to add flavor or some shit, right?
Yeah.
It's
and
flavor.
This is a.
That's the start of the Corona right there. Bow.
Right, you're like, ooh, it's a little nutty.
This is a 10.2%. Is a milk stout.
Ooh.
It's called an Indonesian civet. Is what this thing is called.
Yeah.
Right there.
On there.
Shout out to Levante. So I'll crack that open a little later. I mean, I think majority of us tasted that one already, but all right. Well, I think that sounds like everyone has a good, some good drinks. Some people have more than one or two or three.
Or three in hand at one time. I
gotta catch up with Afro beer chick. I'm like, hold on, let me finish this off real quick so I can get on her level. Hold on. Ooh.
I ain't trying to get on her level. It's Sunday.
That's why you should, because it is Sunday. Come on now.
Oh, and I forgot I do have it in my drink. Drink for the culture cup. Drink for the culture. From was that? I'm Stouted.
Oh yeah.
Black beer connoisseur. Shout out to my brother. All right. Well, let's get into these interviews. Let's get to know these ladies.
Yo, but why Kavonna got this picture like lingering right here?
Oh, because she explained it because of her audio joint. So she was trying to set it up different.
He wanted to know why you basically had, two spots.
I mean, it's weird. I think she's just trying to take over shit, but it's all right.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. She's a queen. Why can't she take up more space?
Why? Because I'm about to have one of mine. I'm about to go on my phone and put an extra picture up. So
you gotta top that. You guys supposed to be the queen of the segment, Yoda.
She just saying peace.
Bye. Nice seeing you, ladies. I'll hit you up later.
You leave it.
All right, let's jump into these interviews. I'm sure some of them will be more in depth than others. We're talking to you, Afro Beer Chick, because you're going to be drunk by the end of the segment, so you probably will.
You handed her liquor.
I bet you I won't.
She is no
drinking.
She's all in.
I bet you I won't.
She's no rookie.
Yo, she ain't playing either. That was a drinker's comment.
Right.
I got
that. That was like, leave her alone and let her go.
All right. Well, we'll start with Kavonna. Tell us how you got into what you do, who you are, how you got into craft beer. What was your and then we'll go from there.
Hi, Kavonna.
Come on. We gave you all that time to get the rust off. Let's go.
I am literally just a regular Black girl who drinks beer. I'm not in the industry, quote unquote, per se. I just like to drink beer, so I started documenting. I got into beer because I used to date this young man who would make fun of the beer I drank.
What was the beer?
What was you
I
drinking?
used to drink a lot of Stella, a lot of Bud Light, but I'm from the country, so I started drinking when I was 16, and that's just easily accessible.
Gotcha.
Okay.
But so he introduced me to more beers, and I just started drinking. And then I'm really good friends with Kofi, who is the co-owner of Sankofa Brewing Company.
Shout out to Sankofa.
Yeah, shout out to them.
And I felt like if I was going to support my friend, I had to really support my friend. So I started going to beer festivals with him, tasting more beer. He has a really big birthday party and he brews beer. So I wanted to like learn, how you just brewing this in your kitchen? What's going on with there? So that's really how I got into it. And then as I grew into my beer knowledge, I wanted to start documenting, like, why do I like this? Why don't I like this? Have I tried that one before? And that's just really how I got into my journey.
So like, you have like a list of all the beers you've tried?
I do. I take a lot of pictures of the cans, which is why I started highlighting it on my IG. Before that, I had a notebook that I actually used to write everything out.
Oh, really?
I didn't know that. Yeah, I didn't know
was
that.
This? Was this like in 1996? You was using a notebook? Like, why you just didn't put it in your phone?
Kavonna, answer the question. Be quiet.
Just try to come on this podcast and be peaceful.
Right.
I'm gonna have to pop off and be angry black woman.
Like,
no, for me, writing is just like how I reiterate what's going on. But I used to just write like what I drank and how it tasted to me. I didn't really understand that I was already doing what tasters do, I guess you could say. Like, this feels like this, and this is what I'm getting. Yeah. I just did it because I wanted to remember what I was drinking.
That's cool. So what's the one that you said, well, you said, how come I don't like this? So what was one that you didn't like?
I do not like porters.
Thank you.
I know.
Yes.
I don't like sours.
Girl,
I know I'm like the only female that doesn't like sours. Like I'm glad there's more of us.
No.
That's more. There you go.
I appreciate that.
It depends on what kind of sour it is. Sours can be nasty.
No.
But it ain't all
Anytime I meet another female, they're like, "Oh yeah, I love this sour." I'm like, "Cool."
No.
We here, girl. We here.
No.
I appreciate you guys. I'll hit y'all up later.
So all three of the ladies on the podcast don't like sour.
Solidarity.
Solidarity.
No.
And like porters taste like tastes brown water. Like, what's the point?
Yes.
So y'all are real
beer coffee, so I can't get into the porters. I can't do it.
No.
So do you like saisons, Kavonna? You like saisons, Kavonna? You like saisons?
What'd you say?
Do you like saisons?
I don't. No, let me. He's only saying this because I just told him that I had a saison from Urban Roots. When I got beer for them and I sent it, so I just picked up another one, and I didn't hate it. And I didn't tell Rob this, but yesterday I actually went to Urban Roots again, and I got a 5-pack of all saisons.
So you love saisons.
So I'm trying.
Okay.
I'm trying. I can't drink IPAs for the rest of my life.
Right. That's true.
So I have to try.
So Kavonna, is IPA your favorite style?
It's my favorite style.
Yeah.
After that, I will drink a stout every now and then, but IPAs are where it's at.
Yes. IPAs is where it's at.
Is there a particular profile in IPAs that you like? Like, you like the fruitier ones, or do you like the more the resiny?
I like the fruitier ones. I used to really like bitter, but now I'm gearing towards a lot more fruity.
Okay.
I'm trying to get into like the juicy IPAs.
Yeah.
So what would you say is your I guess your favorite brewery that you've had so far?
I'm gonna be hella biased, and that's okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say Sankofa.
That is hella biased.
That is hella biased. Like
that's it over.
Honestly, guys, I literally have seen them from the growth process.
Right. They birthed you. They introduced you, right?
Right. I've even the beers that they have out now. I've been a part of that process just as a friend, like tasting the different types.
Yes. Like you're part of their quality panel.
Huh?
You're part of their quality tasting panel.
Well, not anymore because I don't live there, but yes.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, number one, I love them. But then honestly, now that I'm here on the West Coast, I really like Urban Roots. I'm gonna always follow a black brand.
Okay.
And
that's the
they
one in
make really good
Sacramento,
beer.
right? They're in Sacramento,
Yeah.
right? Okay.
They're in Sacramento. I think that he was just on the bottle share with Crowns and Hops.
Okay.
But they have a really nice location. I have not had a bad beer there. Even the nasty stout, I've still been like, oh, okay, this isn't bad.
Really?
The nasty stout. It's not bad.
It's
not
not
a
too
nasty
bad.
stout. If it's not bad, it's good. It's a good stout.
All right.
So you got a West Coast and an East Coast brewery. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
So tell us more about this plant life.
You gotta give us something. You gotta give us something.
I'm about to just take her pictures and start the page.
Yeah,
right.
No, I'm not starting a page.
You don't have to. We can do it.
We'll do it.
You know what? You guys are more than welcome to start.
You grew up. Yeah, you grew up on the farm because you didn't say where you grew up from. And I mean, I guess you can say that.
I'm originally from a very small
We got it.
town in Texas. Literally, I graduated with 47 people.
Whoa, that is small.
26 of those people I knew since kindergarten.
Whoa, that is small.
That's small.
Yeah.
You should have said one more small.
Negative small.
Need a microscope to see that
nature. I grew up around.
What town is that?
Yeah, what's it called?
Holland, Texas. It's just like the country, Holland.
I gotta look that
It's a
up.
big Czech population. I was one of 7 black kids in my whole high school.
Okay.
So I grew up in a really small town. I grew up around nature. I grew up around plants. In my adult life, I've always had indoor plants. So now that I'm in the West Coast, I have taken advantage of the sun and dirt. And I have a full garden that I love so much.
Nice.
And I went from 5 or 6 plants indoor to I have 20 that I can count in my room.
Okay.
And then I have, like I said, a whole garden.
All that fresh air, oxygen you just breathing in. Your air is just purified.
Do you name your plants?
No, but they're all female. Because, we're rooted and we grow and we're awesome.
Okay.
I like that.
Okay.
Nothing wrong with that.
So I love my plants and I get so much energy out of them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just been my thing.
What's your particular favorite plant that you have right now?
I love cactus. I've always liked cactus. They literally can go through hell.
Anything. Yeah.
And be okay.
Mm-hmm.
Fun fact, when I came here from the East Coast, my long ass flight, I had 3 cactus in my carry-on that sat with me as I made it here. And the first thing I did was put them in the ground.
Okay.
And then everything else got shipped.
Okay. That's cool. That's what's up.
So how does a cactus and an IPA compare?
You want to know that relationship.
Yeah. What's the relationship between your favorite style of beer and your favorite style of plant?
Nice.
Because if you get stuck by cactus, it hurts. And
IPAs are a little bitter.
That bitterness hurt.
And that's exactly how cactus are. You don't want none of your shit around you.
Right.
But they are strong and they keep it moving.
Right. There you go.
Right. So only the strong survive. You either.
I like it.
There you go.
I like it.
Yep. Only strong.
So I looked up Holland, Texas. Their population as of 2010 was 1,221 people. That's how many people was in my high school. That's how many people was in my high school by itself. Like, what do you mean? That's your population.
The whole city.
We've grown 100 people because when I was there, it was 1,118.
That's actually pretty good, though. 100 people growing. That's actually.
So they got one church, one
school. That's a big deal.
Yo, that's like 8% growth. That's a lot of growth.
So literally, my grade school was all on the same block. It was elementary, middle, high school. We all shared the same cafeteria.
What's the big city? How far was the big city?
Yeah, they're close to Texas or Houston or San Antonio?
Dallas?
Either.
None of them?
If you look at a map, I'm smack dab in the middle of Texas. I am an hour south of Austin and about 45 minutes north of Waco.
Okay.
Oh, so it's kind of closer to Waco. Okay,
Yeah.
Waco.
Yeah, or if you're familiar with Killeen Fort Hood area, I'm
Yep.
right across the street.
Oh,
from
okay, gotcha.
Oh.
All right, there you go.
But it's really small. They probably had one officer.
Super.
One,
Yo.
No, he said Fort
one
Hood.
officer.
yeah, one
No,
cop.
literally, it's so small. I don't want to put a damper on things, but the same jail that was used to, or the same building that was used to house slaves when they were bought, is the same
What's the
building
jail?
that they use for the quote unquote jail.
Wow.
And
Well,
it's like maybe like 4x6.
Damn.
That's some history right there. Okay,
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
that's
What's the black population there? I know you said you were like the one and only black.
7. She said like 7 in her class.
I was one of 7 black kids in my high school.
Hold up,
Myself
7
and
out
another
of 7 out of
gentleman, we were
46, or
biracial.
7 out of the whole class? The whole class or the whole school?
No, the whole high school.
Wow.
So 9th through
Damn.
12th grade.
yeah. So
Wow.
when she went to Atlanta and DC, she had culture shock.
Right.
Oh,
You know, I'm very thankful because I have roots in Texas and LA. So I used to spend my summers in LA. So when
Good.
I went off
Okay.
to Atlanta, I went to school at Spelman. So when I went to Atlanta, it wasn't a culture shock for me. The biggest thing for me was we have to take the MARTA everywhere. Why can't
Okay.
we have our cars?
gotcha.
I, of course, have been driving since I was 14.
Right. Yeah, but in Atlanta, traffic is crazy. So
Yeah.
You know, when you
So
say you
I'm
could drive to
thankful.
14, was this
Yeah,
a
you learn real
tractor?
quick while you take the MARTA.
Right. What'd you say?
When you were driving at 14, was this like a horse that you were on? Or it's like, nah.
It could have been a tractor.
A tractor, yeah, it was a tractor or
No.
because that's small town.
Rode
You have a
horses
car,
before I
right?
was 14.
Oh,
I drove
before
tractors
she was
before I
14.
was 14.
Oh, before you
I was
were
actually driving a car at
Competitive.
14.
Competitive is what she's saying. It's
Nice.
competitive.
she just
Driving a
stood
car
I
in
grew
the-
up in the country. That's like their way of life.
Yeah, you're right. That's
Yo,
true.
Yoda.
so you did a lot of farming when you were younger.
I did. I actually grew up raising animals more so than like plant life, but I grew up
Okay.
around it. So
Okay.
when I grew up, I don't know if, do you guys know like 4-H, FFA?
Yep, I was in 4-H.
Yeah. So I
What's
grew
that,
up
Farmers of
middle
America?
school and high school.
Huh?
Farmers
Yeah.
of America, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And we had
So when I
a
grew up-
bonsai plant.
Oh.
That's
Yeah, we had
what
a bonsai.
you farmed a
Great
bonsai?
for you.
Yeah, we had to cut it.
Thank you know,
Really
that's
awesome.
good.
I'm glad that you
Mr.
experienced
Miyagi.
Thank you, Kavonna. I
Kavonna,
love
you have a
bonsai.
bonsai plant?
Hey, there's
You have a
someone.
bonsai plant?
Oh,
Well,
that's
when
all
I
for
was in
Kavonna.
When I was in FFA, in middle school and high school, I actually grew up raising rabbits, goats, and turkeys. So I would show those by the end of the season.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, okay, that's what's
Eat
up.
them? Did you eat them after they were shown?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, like
not a doubt.
You know,
I have no
so
question.
I don't eat meat now.
There were no grocery stores in that area.
Lose frozen again.
We do have a grocery store, but our butcher is
Am I
like
smiling?
really right
Look at
there.
it.
No, you're not. You got a stone cold face.
Damn.
You look.
So you're
Fun
vegan
fact
now or you're
is,
vegetarian?
I'm not vegan, but
Oh, you're
I'm
vegetarian.
vegetarian. I don't eat meat
Okay.
now. But the
Gotcha.
reason why I stopped eating meat was because I grew up where if we wanted to have goat today, we just slaughter it. Like there was nothing for me to come home and see a goat hanging upside down with the guts
Right.
hanging out and we were gonna eat it.
Huh.
But when I went to college, I ate pork for the first time. I had my first pepperoni pizza. I had beef that was
Life-changing.
not raised in the backyard. And it really messed up my digestive system.
Oh,
So I had to slowly cut out processed meat.
Okay.
And then I just stopped eating it.
Okay. Makes sense.
that's what's
I
up.
used to backyard beef. What is this?
Backyard beef.
Perfect. I like it.
Backyard.
They did backyard beef.
I need
Shit.
backyard beef, backyard birds.
Tenderoni.
Tenderoni. Oh my god.
So you have planned to move back to Harlem soon?
Never. I will probably never move back to
still
Texas.
there in
It's
your
just
family.
too Huh?
Anybody still there in your immediate family?
Oh yeah, my mom is still there. I have lots of family still throughout Texas.
So
but I just won't move there.
You go back.
I haven't been back home in like 10 years.
Oh.
Texas is just too far to the right.
To Texas. It's too Texas.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It is. I love my state. I'm a very proud Texan. But as a Black person, as a woman, it's just not for me. And that's okay.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Yep, absolutely.
It's okay.
I can dig it.
All right. Any other questions for Kavonna?
I do. I just want to know what your shirt says, because based on our conversation, you are a woman who has a strong mind, minding my
black-owned business.
Got it.
There we go. That's what I'm talking about.
Yes, loving it.
Thank you.
Afro beer chipper. Do you guys have any questions for Kavonna?
I don't know if you were going to dive into this at any particular time, but I'm just going to ask, like, what are your thoughts going on, with everything that's going on right now, just the climate of our country, of our nation? What is your perspective on things, and how would you strategize if you were given an opportunity to lead something for, your country, your area?
I think it's a difficult time for everyone.
Yes.
I don't have kids. I don't have a partner, but I have a nephew. I have uncles. I have Black men in my life. And at the end of the day, I was just telling someone else, when Sandra Bland got pulled over, that hit me so hard because
Texas,
I've driven
right?
I've driven that street. I have a smart ass mouth, which you guys have even felt a little bit of it. So
that's just a little bit.
Right, I know.
He said it.
I probably got a lot more of it than they did. She has a horrible mouth.
Thank you. It gets worse. So literally ever since then, it feels like a replay every time. When everything came out with the mod, I run 5 and 6 half marathons a year.
Mm-hmm.
So I quite literally run while I'm Black. So it's just everything back to back to back. I actually got notified yesterday that the building that I work in San Francisco got broken into. And my first thought was, I don't care. The time that we're living in right now is hard for everyone, just being in a pandemic. I would have been in shelter in place for 3 months.
Yeah.
So I have to deal with that mentally, but now I have to deal with people who look like me are dying.
Yeah.
And I was talking, if you guys know Will from Down Home Brewing, I was talking to him last night, and he was like, why do you think that we have just gone like so far out? And I said, we just saw another Black man get choked out. He said he couldn't breathe. This is now the second time that it's been on video.
Right.
That someone has said they couldn't breathe. Mm-hmm. The EMS failed him, the police officers failed him, and we're just tired.
Right. And think, we didn't, to your point, we didn't see it back in the day, but think of everybody that was put up by a noose and hung from a tree. All of them had that same, didn't have a voice, but were probably saying those same words or mentally saying that same thing. I can't breathe until they were strangled and killed. But now the fact that, coupled with the fact that video is now surfacing for us to actually see it up close and personal, it's enough.
A lot.
It's a lot.
And the third thing to think about is we're dealing with the pandemic. We're dealing with seeing people doing this to us. But I live in the West Coast. I live like in the Berkeley area, and I was at Whole Foods literally on Thursday and had an altercation happen to me. I don't look quote unquote Black. So if this is happening to me on Thursday, my mood was completely changed. So I'm dealing with 3 different things. I can't imagine what other people are dealing with. We're mad. Fuck that shit. Burn everything down. I don't care.
Right.
Okay.
Get it out.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, we know we have to move on to other people, but you talked about your emotions and everything. Like from a strategy standpoint, like how would you support the like kind of any movement, or is there a movement in particular or an organization in particular you might follow or support?
Or talk about what you did. What you say you did something yesterday? You said you went somewhere yesterday?
I just went out. I just did some marching.
Okay.
I don't drive at night anyway, so I was going to try to be at home at a decent hour. Okay. That's just me.
Yeah.
But I think that if someone's listening to this and they don't know what to do, they can follow Brittany Packnutty. She is a dear friend of mine, and she's always has her pulse to the street. If you don't know what to do, you can always follow her. Please donate to funds, but not to Sean King.
Okay.
So that would be my biggest thing. I will say that I'm working.
Shots fired.
Yeah,
it's not shots fired. It's just specific.
Yeah, but is that something specific with you?
I just don't think you should donate to a man who is not reputable with the money that people have given to him. Okay. If you are more than welcome to hit me upside on a sidebar, and I can go into that more with you, but I don't want to give him any play.
Okay.
I just would prefer that you didn't donate to him. I appreciate him. He's a wonderful Morehouse brother. He always gives visibility to things, but I'd rather you give money to organizations that are going to use it for the people that are being affected.
So you appreciate his voice, but not his financial literacy.
Right.
Correct.
Yes.
Right. Correct.
Okay. PC on deck.
I'm also helping a dear friend as far as organizing. I'm also helping a dear friend who's an instructor at Soul Cycle. She is of color, but she's not Black. But she's doing a book club, and of course, it's mostly of non-Black people. So I'm helping her organize and get that together, because people have asked, what can they do? And for me, because I'm a reader and a writer, get some knowledge in your life.
Yeah. But still,
I agree.
All right. Any more questions?
Thank you, Kavonna. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Nice. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I'm going to open up my mango now.
Okay. Go ahead and have that mango.
I want to see it in a glass.
What brewery is that from? No.
No glass. My Sankofa glass is dirty because I used it yesterday for that.
Supposed to rinse that thing out with some water.
Did you say you used it yesterday?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's
so
nice.
It's still warm a bit dirty.
Oh, okay. We see how you get it in.
Judge your mom, not me.
Oh!
Whoa.
Shots fired.
Rob, cut her. Yo, she's done. Get her out of here.
No, you got the sound effects, Rob. Hit it.
She's done. No, she's done.
Yeah. Well, she is done. We have moved on.
No, she's done. Finito.
We'll see you again.
Oh, yeah, we will see you again.
We will see you again.
That's not. We're going to lay hands.
That's
left hands.
Yes, lay hands. Yes, we got to lay hands in prayer. In prayer, yes.
Yes, exactly.
Pray for
yes, exactly. Pray for you.
Please, pray for me. Pray for me.
Oh, we will.
We need some prayers.
Jesus, take the wheel.
All right.
All right. Thank you, Kavonna. Now we'll jump into Denise, aka D Nice, aka Kinky Sudz on IG.
What up?
Is it just on IG or is it everywhere? IG, everywhere? Oh, well,
John,
you can tell us. You can tell us. All right.
So one at a time. One at a time.
You can actually tell us where you got the name from.
Oh, man. So Kinky Sudz came about because just my personality. So I really like beer. I've been in it for quite some time now, quietly, not on social media or anything, but, and I wanted something that was different. And I wanted something to refer back to two things I think are kind of taboo right now. So kinky refers to hair.
Right. That's what I thought you were at first.
Got your willow going on.
I thought it meant the hair too until you start talking.
Well, so that's it. That's the double part. So it's the hair.
Jay-Z out here with the double entendres.
Got to, right? And I also I think that with the environment that we're in right now, and especially for me, with my background being in science, it was just a whole idea that your hair can sometimes get you into trouble, right? And I was like, you know what? I want this to be upfront, out in the open. Like, look, this is me. This is my natural hair. I'm not ashamed. I don't care. And I've been very unapologetic in a lot of things that I do in my life, right? I've been known to cause waves, and I don't care. You know, I'm very loud. I'm very energetic. That's me. So I wanted to be upfront and personal with that with Kinky. But then the other thing is just the fact that the other taboo subject is sex. A lot of people, everybody participates in it in some shape or form, right? Whether you think about it, you participate actively, whatever. But it's still kind of one of those topics that people don't really want to talk about.
Rob does porn.
Right. So it's like, it's kind of one of those, it's like if you're unapologetic in that, right, they're like, oh, you get labeled a certain way. And I was like, you know what, putting those two things together, and with a lot of the merchandise that I'm hoping to put out, will kind of push that envelope a little bit. But really, it was just those two things that really speak to me as a person that I wanted to have with Kinky Sudz. So that's how the name came about.
I like it.
So who is Denise as a person? Like, who are you? How you got? You know what I mean?
Denise doesn't fit into any category. I
will not be boxed. Okay, Rob?
I can't.
I just asked her who she is as a person. I didn't say box. I didn't box her.
Look, wow, I'm just going along with what she said. She will not be fit in any category.
Yeah, people who know me, they know me as loud. They know me as funny. I'm goofy as hell. But I have a lot of different interests. So I came up from science. I've got a PhD in microbiology and immunology. So I'm a big time nerd on that front.
Sit this out.
I am a doctor.
Sit that out, Lou.
Yeah. You see what I did?
I'm a doctor.
Look, more power to her. Look, go ahead. I got a bachelor's. That's as far as I'm going ever.
She said, I got a PhD. Let it be known.
Yeah, doctor. Good doctor. Yes.
So it should be Dr. Kinky Sudz.
Yes. Right.
It should be. Dr. D. That's what I'm saying. Doc is in the house. Okay.
Really?
But I have a PhD. And I really love science. So my background is more in microbiology and immunology. So I deal with bacteria, viruses. I look at your immune response. So all that stuff was really interesting to me. But, you know, going off into science, I'm used to being the only. I mean, when I was doing my PhD program, I was the only Black student, right? And 2 others came into the program, but they got pushed out. So during my time in grad school, I was the only Black person that made it all the way through, right? So I'm used to being the only Black person, the only Black woman, and having people look to me to be a representative of the race, right? And I always think back on this time where they had it, where all the grad students came together. They were like, we're going to talk about diversity and inclusion. And my friend, she's part of the LGBT community. She was like, listen, I want to go to this, but I don't want to go alone. Because I wasn't going to go. Because I was like, this is a bunch of bullshit. I know it's going to be one of those, we'll talk about it, but you know. Mm-hmm. And she's like, I don't want to go alone. She's very quiet, right? Like she's, doesn't like confrontation. And I said, fine, I'll go. So they go through all the other things in the issue. And then they come down, and this is how they started. It's like, well, let's talk about diversity and inclusion. And all the people in the room turn and look at me. Now she turns red, and she kind of like does this. And I said, what do you want me to say? That I feel comfortable around you white people? Like, what do you want me to say? That I feel threatened? Like, what do you want me to say? I'm like, honestly, we have no say in this because we're not the ones who determine who gets accepted.
Right.
I'm like, really? I need to be having this conversation with the professors to say, okay, well, when you're going through and looking at your applicants, are Black people actually applying to the program? I think so. But the question becomes, why are they not making it into the interview pool? Is it because they're not stacking up to what you're looking for? Or is it because there's something else that's not really being said, right? And I'm like, it also could be that on the surface, they're probably not applying because when they look at the department, which my PhD is from University of Michigan, because I'm Michigan born, Detroit, actual Detroit, not a suburb.
That's where I'm from there.
Putting that out there, okay.
That good old car plant industry.
Detroit, okay.
That's my
Auburn, no.
Man, no Auburn Hills. I'm in Detroit.
Thank you. Thank you. We're not talking Southfield, we're not talking Troy. No, we're talking Detroit, right?
Yes.
But, and it was just like, well, why is that? Right? Like, can you answer that question? And the graduate students, you guys cannot answer that question because you don't know what's happening behind the scenes. So I can go all day talking to you guys about this, but it's not going to change anything, right? We need to talk to people who are the decision makers, not us, right? Mm-hmm. So after grad school, I was going back and forth. Do I want to stay in academia? Do I want to go off into something else? And I still did an academic postdoc. And that's where I started learning more about the microbiome. I did a lot of stuff with doing a little bit more of animal research and stuff like that. But I got into this business development fellowship program where I actually got introduced into the business. And that just took off. I loved doing the presentations. I loved thinking about business, coming up with strategies. And so because of that, went off into consulting and started up on the side, Kinky Sudz during that time. So right now I'm consulting for pharma companies. So I'm like really in tune with what's happening right now with COVID.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
And so from my science background, I understand the science. I understand why there's a struggle with trying to come up with a vaccine. Why is a struggle to try and get these tests out? I understand that piece. But then personally, my grandmother, she ended up getting COVID-19 and she was in the hospital for a week and she passed away. So from a personal perspective, I've seen how that can affect people. And she was back in Michigan. I'm out in California. So I couldn't even go and see her during her last few days, right? So for me, it's been tough because seeing how in the beginning they kept saying, well, Black people aren't affected. And I'm thinking, I don't know where the hell this information is coming from, but it's deadly. And we're now starting to see statistically that Black people, right, are really being affected by this. And they're like, well, we don't understand why. And I'm like, well, think about how the system is set up.
Right.
The opportunities are not there for you to get the health care that you need. Right.
It was like a 40, it's like a 40-year slow play.
Yeah.
Right. And then I think about it
until bang, hit them with the disease.
Right. And then it's like you think about what's really affecting them. It's like, well, they have hypertension, they have heart disease. It's really prevalent. Well, let's understand why that is, right? And then it's like, if you already have a weak heart, you got to be careful with that type of stuff, right? Asthma, diabetes. We know that these are very high in the African-American community, right? So for me, hearing about how my grandmother went through this, and then I have my parents who live with me, and I don't like to take my chances with going out. Like, I'm young, cool. I don't have any underlying health problems, but my parents, I got to think about them. So sure, would I like to go out? Absolutely. I like being out in nature. I love plants. I like hiking. That's the type of stuff I like to do. But I don't want to, I like going to breweries, but I don't want to take a chance going out. I'll be okay, but
somebody else.
I don't know, folks, I don't want to be that asshole, who's like, I'm going to go out because I can't stay my ass in, I don't want to do that. Right. So, so for me, it's like, as a scientist, as a person, as a Black person, as a Black woman, these are all the things that kind of get layered onto that. So, and then like when I started up Kinky Sudz, it just started recently. And then like all the things that happened, it's like I have all these ideas of, funny pictures to do with beer, but it's like, it didn't feel right to put that type of stuff out for the past week, Right. And I felt like I needed to take a break from that because it's like, it's constant. You see it. And it's like the video gets played over and over again. I'm like, oh, hey, here's another angle. You're like, that's great. But why do I have to keep reliving this nightmare of seeing as a Black man cry out, saying that he can't breathe, that his stomach hurts, that his chest hurts, that, he's crying out for his mother. I mean, that type of shit, it's hurtful to watch that, And it's like, I don't have any siblings, but I got a Black father who's been in my life forever, and sure, I'm on the light side of life and so is he. But again, he could still get profiled for shit, like he could still be, that could happen to him. And knowing that he has a heart issue, which is what they're saying George had, that shit's not easy when you can tell. It's like, I know from a science side, like why he couldn't breathe, but science, as they're saying from the, autopsy report, well,
Well, the strangulation didn't actually do it.
No
what
physical
killed him.
evidence.
That's what they're trying to say.
He was ultimately stressed. Like,
but that's what I'm saying. Like, when you think about it, you go, great, sure, okay. So his neck wasn't ultimately the problem, but if you're putting that amount of pressure on someone's heart, who has that issue already, and the heart's already under enough stress, and then you're adding on to it, it makes sense.
It was overly excessive. It was just excessive, and they're always excessive.
Yeah. So for me, it was just like, it hit on so many levels, so I had to take a break. And the other thing too is this other side project that I'm working on is this book where I'm interviewing, a lot of Black people who are in craft beer. And before this whole thing started, I wanted to create this book because I've seen so many people that have, articles that are written about them, little short snippets of, oh, well, let's talk about your interest in your time in beer. But they always seem as though, depending on who the writer is, it is kind of like, well, we'll write it because we wanted, you're the hottest thing right now.
Okay.
But you don't really capture their stories, their voice. And so I came up with this book. The name of the book is called The Fro in the Room. And I really wanted it to be a collection of people of color's experiences in craft beer. And it's not just talking to brewers, right? I'm talking to influencers. I'm talking to, people who are in marketing, graphic design, people who are doing podcasts. And I'm trying to get this wide range of people who are in different types of careers in craft beer. And it's been great how it's kind of evolved over time to what that is. And so I'm partnering with a Black artist to get that going, to have these like images that are throughout the book that really represent the Black voice. And
we'll be that Black podcast.
Yeah, I was about to say, you reach out to us.
See,
that Black podcast.
Is that so? We expecting that sometime next week, huh?
See, now that's the thing. It's like I'm looking for, and that's what I wanted. I wanted to be an organic thing with people, and I wanted it to be.
So y'all just ruined that.
No, it's fine. No, you guys are fine. I'm glad. I want people to want to be a part of it. I don't want to drag people. Right? I don't want to drag people into it.
We should definitely collab because I had already started doing a documentary called Being Black in Craft. Then COVID happened, where I was actually setting up my meetings. I was going to travel to people and get their perspective. So we definitely need to collab.
Thank you.
And then with me, I've been drinking craft beer. Say
no. We bring people together on this podcast
all the time. We bring them one by one.
Yes. But seriously, I'm open to collaborations. I'm open to ideas. I mean, I want to make this where, and honestly, I'm going back and forth. Do I want it as a hard copy or an ebook? Ebook probably would be easier, but I'm like, no, fuck that. I want it to take space. I want it to be out there.
Right.
I want it to be in Barnes and Nobles and other types of bookstores when you see it displayed, like here it is.
Right.
You can't ignore it. I want it to be in the face. So that's the goal of that.
Yeah.
So far I've interviewed 12 people.
Okay.
I think I have like another 5 people set up. I'm trying to get between 20 to 30 people.
Okay.
But it might blow up into something more, which would be nice. But that's my whole.
That's amazing.
That's great.
Now we asked this is a kind of different. Now we asked another healthcare professional.
Yeah.
So when the vaccine come out, are you taking the vaccine?
So here's the thing. This is because of my science background. This is how I always see it. Vaccines are very important because you have to. The thing is, that people are looking at it like, well, I'm healthy. Why do I need it? And it's like it's not you a lot of times, right? It's usually the people that you interact with, right? And that's where this whole idea of herd immunity is very important because you are protected, which means you can decrease the chances of spreading it to people who cannot get the vaccine because of age, because of health issues, whatever, right? So it's very important for that to happen. Now, when you think about it from a business perspective, all these pharmaceutical companies are really pushing to try and get something out there, right? And there's a certain way you're supposed to go about doing these trials. Right. But everything is expedited at this point, right? So I can understand why people might be a little hesitant to want to jump on board with that. I totally get it, because you're like, well, did you really test that out fully? And did the FDA really approve of this? So like there's a lot of layers that are with that. So I understand why people may be hesitant to do it, but vaccines are important. They showed this when you had these anti-vaxxers that were like, I'm not going to vaccine my kid against measles, mumps, rubella, and it's like, whooping cough. And what happened? In these areas where they weren't doing that, you see these number of cases grow. And you say, well, why is that? Well, these kids are not being vaccinated. And like, well, I thought we had eradicated this or at least kept it at bay. Well, we did when we were vaccinating, right? So it's like that movement of anti-vaxxers, again, I understand where their concerns can come from. But again, it's like, you've got to look at the science.
So when they first drop it, you taking it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
She taking that thing.
I'll wait for you to take it then.
Yeah. And
if I don't hear back from you, I'm not taking it.
But you see, that's the thing, right?
I mean,
and I'm totally fine with that. I'm totally fine with taking it and saying, okay, hey, I had it done. Let's document what happens over the next couple of days.
Okay.
I got no problem with that.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I want your whole thing.
The whole journal. The whole
Listen, I got no problem with that. And because again, I'm a scientist, right? So I'm the type of person who's like, you have experiments in place. You got to document things.
Yeah.
And you got to do it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if I can at least convince people that it's okay, especially again, when you look at the minorities in America, right? And when you think about the stories of how some science stuff had started, how they were going into certain communities and trying out things, right? And it's like, yeah, I can understand why you might be like, nah, fuck that.
Tuskegee.
Or how they were doing stuff over in Africa.
Autism.
These health organizations that were going over there. And at first, Africans were open to it. They're like, yeah, okay, we'll see what happens. But then the shit that started happening, I can understand why. They're like, no, we don't want outside help. It makes sense. It totally makes sense. It does hurt organizations that really are trying to help. But at the same time, you've got to be aware of that history. You've got to be aware.
Exactly.
And you've got to be willing to put in the effort to build up that trusting relationship and to prove. You've got to be able to do that. And so, like I said, if I can help in some way to kind of help our community, to kind of help us out as a species, I'm totally fine with that.
Yeah, I'm totally fine with it too. Thank you.
I told you, I'm fine with it.
Now we know you. We heard you. You said stouts was your Is that your favorite or is that your favorite type? Okay.
Oh, yeah, I love stouts. Stouts to me, they're like a meal in a glass. It's just, it's great. It's just something about them. It's just the chocolatey roastedness about it. It's just so good, right? And I really like imperial stouts, especially ones that are bourbon barrel aged. Like those are my all-time favorites.
Yes.
Right. So for me, that was my first real beer that I got into, because originally I was into like tequila, vodka, bourbon, cognacs. Those are my thing. That's what I started. I was the spirits girl. That was me.
Okay.
I can throw back shots and be totally fine.
Where that Henny at?
Hey,
so
Hey.
who got that brand? Who got that
so
brand?
that's me.
Afro beer chick got it. Afro beer chick got
And
it.
right now, I'm drinking on a Japanese whiskey. I told y'all.
And right now.
Hey.
Right?
A couple minutes ago, I seen her go back in the cabinet making a bunch of.
She did. She's like, hold up.
I didn't think y'all was paying attention when I did that.
Oh, we was
We saw you.
out that time. We saw you.
Your background and chains and everything.
No, I love stouts. Those are my favorite. And my first beer really that I got into, I was on a date with my ex at the time. This is our first date. And he got a Guinness. And I was like, I didn't know beer could be that dark. What the hell is this? And I'm like, let me get a taste of that. And I just love that roasted chocolate flavor. And I was like, so it's more types of beer than Bud and Miller,
Right.
I'm like, shit, all right, let me check this out. So because of that, I got into it, and I used to homebrew back in Michigan. I used to grow my own hops back in Michigan.
Oh,
I used to do all that
Hops,
stuff.
okay.
Oh yeah, that was dope, being able to grow your own hops. And
Did you say hops or hemp? I hear you.
Hops. That was before it became illegal.
That hearing problem.
So I had to be careful. Now I can do both. But, but back in Michigan, I used to grow my own hops, and it was cool. The first season they grow, and you're like, hey, okay, they actually did it. But in each season, they would get it was just more and more hops that would grow out of it. And I mean, you could get up to 10 to 15 feet if you're really taking good care of them. And just the smell of them when you would go out there, and then you're like, okay, let me go and pick them off of there, let them dry out. I mean, it was just awesome. And then brewing with them, it was just so much fun. So I miss doing that. I need to get back into it. But where I'm at in California right now, they won't allow you to have an open flame at this apartment building. I'm just like, because I don't want to do it on the stove. Like, you can do it, but open flame with the propane tank, it's just is something about it.
You doing that real home brewing.
Right.
Okay.
Home brewing, right? You gotta get that going.
Cook the coke, cut it.
Are you in North Cal or Southern Cal?
I used to be in NorCal. I used to for a while when I was doing my postdoc out at UC Davis, but I'm currently down by LA.
Flex.
When you were at UC Davis, did you ever go to the hop farm there?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, when I went there, I was like, I can do this shit. I can do this.
Yeah.
I'm like, I used to do this. I'm like, damn it, I need to do this again. Like, I miss it. I miss, like, when you are a part of that, like, when you have, like, all of, like, when you're growing a part of what goes into your beer, right? Like, the grain, you can go, to your beer store and get that. But when you're like, those hops that are in there, I grew that. Like, it just adds another layer to that, right? Where you're just like, like, I did that. I did that. So I just like that piece of it. I miss doing that type of stuff. But drinking beer and being creative with it, like, I like having goofy pictures. Like, there's this one beer I'm coming up with that's from KCBC Brewery, where they had I think it's the Doozy Bowser beer. They have some double dry hop IPA. I had this giant T-Rex outfit. So I'm gonna do something real stupid with this beer. But I like doing funny, dumb stuff with the beer pictures, right? So it's like, I want to get back into home brewing, but I also am comfortable right now with just drinking beers and putting my reviews on it. And also kind of highlighting science with it as well. So there's a blog series I'm going to start up. One of the first articles is going to be, Can Robots Make Beer? And I'm a really big nerd, really big video gamer. Like, people don't understand how much of a gamer I am.
What?
I build my own PC rigs. Big into consoles. Like, I'm a nerd.
Okay. I love it.
I got comic books and graphic novels on the other side of my bed over there. So I'm like really big into comics, gaming, cars. Like,
what's your favorite console and game?
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask.
My favorite console, if we go retro, probably would be N64, because that was the first. Like, I have a Nintendo and Super Nintendo. I have all the originals that are in my living room right now. But N64, listen.
My Nintendo, I got my Nintendo.
I got so many game system consoles in my living room right now. It's ridiculous. But I think N64, because that's when I really started heavily getting into gaming.
Right.
PC, I like it because you get to make your own rigs. You can do, like, the ultra. All the settings can be an ultra, and you can just, like, really get into it. But I'm more of a first-person shooter, so that's more of my style of game. If you talk about new school stuff, definitely PlayStation over Xbox, hands down. But I would have to say probably my retro favorite would probably be N64, because a lot of childhood memories with that one. So.
Afro Beer Chick, you game too? It sounded like you was excited about that. What you like?
Well, you know what? I grew up, around the Atari, Nintendo era. So, of course, we had to hold it down, and then we had a PS4 in the house. Where's music coming from?
That's me.
Stupid.
Continue.
Don't mind him. Continue.
Right?
So stupid.
Yeah,
Well,
but
Denise, I had a question back to the hops. Former colleague that I worked with at a big manufacturing company. She's a scientist like yourself. And now she works at a company here in Delaware that she posts a lot of pictures of hops and going into I guess these, I don't know, labs or whatever you call them. Do you get a chance to, or is there a space? You know how we can go and do a visit to a brewery. Is there a space that allows you to tour different kind of hop farms or whatever? Like, where are they in relation to you, or are they others like all around?
So I know that there are places. You have a lot of hop farmers that are more than open to, like, if you really wanted to learn about the business, like how do you go about growing hops, they're more than open to come and talk to you about it. You can find a lot of this information online as well. I haven't dug into out here in Southern California where any of them are at, but up in Northern California, we had tons of places, and like UC Davis, which they had this whole beer program there, like this whole beer program out there. You could literally go to them and they could give you all the type of information that you would want about like hops, the brewing process, whatever you wanted. But there's tons of places, and just the whole idea of going out to a hop farm, you know, and seeing it, like going out to a winery and you see all the grapes that are growing as well. Like it's kind of like that, but with hops, right?
So is it a process like, let's say you go to a hop farm, and I'm not saying you know personally, but with, like, you know how you go to a winery or whatever, you might taste the grapes, or you might. You know, do you get to taste the hops, or do you get to
You don't get to taste it. What they usually do is allow you to smell it. So they'll rub it. They'll say rub it in your hand. But they'll let you rub it and they'll say smell it and say what type of aroma did you get out of that, right? And they'll probably have beers that were made with that to say, okay, what type of flavors are you getting out of that? So you'll be able to get the two components that these hops are really a part of, and really be able to, it kind of enhances your beer knowledge too, because you're like, oh, okay, well, when I smell this, maybe it's this type of hop, right? Or if I taste this is a type of hop that is probably going to be associated with that flavor. So you could totally get into it. I mean, it's a whole science to that, science. And they're always coming out with new strains and stuff like that too.
Hey, Kavonna, you got something to say?
Yeah, I was going to say, if any of you guys are ever in San Francisco, Oakland, literally there's like 5 hop farms outside of UC Davis, like in the Dixon area. They have their own little collaboration. And to even just be on the freeway and see the trellis of the hops, I would recommend it to anyone. If you like beer, I know Napa Valley is up here and people always go there. But definitely look into going to the hops farm, because you learn so much.
Kavonna, is that a plant that you would ever grow? A hop?
I haven't thought about it, but now that I've listened to you, I might.
You got to have the space
trial
for
and
it.
error. Why not?
Yeah, you got to have the space for they grow. I mean, they grow.
Yeah, they're huge.
Huge plants.
I have a really big garden, so I have more than.
Oh, you got the space. Oh, nice.
Yeah, I have 2 fruit trees and multiple lines.
Oh, nice.
So
I always wanted to have it where they would grow up and over.
My prayer plant alive over here in my window. So you guys, I mean,
doing great. Don't worry.
Look, let me tell you something.
If you need help, I'll help you. But you're doing so great.
I just bought 2 plants since COVID started. Okay, I'm surprised that they're still alive. I did good to keep my kids in my
They're doing great.
And I was talking about plants.
You're giving it water. You're giving it love. That's all you need.
You got to grieve them. What you talking about? Look at you.
Meanwhile, I just cut all the trees away from my house. Every single tree, plant everything I own. What it is?
You're going to get in trouble.
Go.
What?
Get them out of here.
That's how you get squirrels in the house.
Yeah,
Let me try to reel us back in.
What's wrong with squirrels, man? They part of nature. What's wrong with squirrels?
Out in your house, once they get in your house, that's not nature anymore. My house is no part of nature.
You invaded the land. You invaded the land with that house, okay?
Facts on facts.
Just saying.
All the facts you want. That type of wood is actual, not nature wood. Once it becomes out,
that type of wood,
the nature part is over.
but you were in their space, so you actually
cut it down, Yoda. You cut it down, baby.
I cut them all.
Damn.
The house.
No green around me. No green around me unless it's money.
All right. I know Denise took us in a lot of different directions that you could probably ask many questions for, but do anyone else have any other questions? I think Movado wrapped it up pretty easily. So special. Is there anything else? Because she said video game, PhD,
doctor,
comic books,
all of that.
I think she just tapped in.
You know what? A kid can do anything. A black woman in America can do anything.
There you go. We also learned an important point that men are not actually as useless as people try to say they are, because they introduced these two ladies to beers.
Right, yeah.
I was trying to figure out where you were going with this.
Just saying. I mean, you think about it, right? But I mean, when you think about it,
together.
But you know, when you think about the marketing of beer, and I talked about this recently with a friend, I'm like, when you think of marketing of beer, right? It's always men and sports. Yeah. I'm like, fuck, I watch sports.
We learned from going to Montclair Brewing that over in Africa, that women are beer brewers.
Yeah.
That's where he learned all his mom's recipes from.
Right, but what I'm saying, but like that's the thing, where it started, it totally makes sense. You think about it over in Egypt, you think about the history.
Black women.
Right? But here in America, where we live,
totally opposite.
You totally see it as white men with beards. That's it. Right. And I'm like, okay, I get it. You put beer and sports together. It's a perfect marriage because I like sports. I watch a ton of football, basketball, all kinds of stuff.
America, they capitalize on everything, don't they?
Yeah. So I'm like, of course it makes sense that, you know, you get introduced to it possibly, right? Unless you go out and try it, right? But I'm like, it makes sense. And I got no problem with saying, yeah, okay, the dude introduced me to it. That's cool. All right. Yeah. But I probably could out-talk him on some sports and science and comic books. But, cool. Right. You introduced me to beer. That's cool.
Right.
Right. And you and now you're a certified beer server, so salute.
And I'm a certified beer server. You know what I'm saying? Just saying. I'm moving up in the world. They tell me shit now. I got the exam. I got the pen, the patch.
Yeah.
We're ready to go.
Yes.
I did see that. Congratulations.
Right.
Thank you.
Look, Afro beer chick drunk. Look at her. Look at her.
Look, she's laying back.
She's waiting on her turn.
She's laid back.
She's drunk.
Fired up.
He was all about to fall asleep.
She nice.
Remember the cameras on you.
Nah, she feeling good. She said, look.
We all up in your space.
Let me know when y'all ready to talk.
Now that's posing. That last one was posing.
Yeah,
that first one
was
sleeping.
I love it.
I'm not even buzzed. I'm just patiently waiting, you know.
I think it's your turn.
It's your turn.
It is your turn.
It is your turn. Let's do it.
Rob, give her her intro. Give her summarization.
Oh, get you.
Top yourself off. She said next stage.
Right. Yep. Next up. All right. Next up, we have Afro Beard Chick. If you on IG, check her out. She also has a podcast as well.
And coming to us out of where? Where's Afro Beard Chick from?
It's Chicago.
Chicago's finest.
Midwest,
baby. Chi-town.
Chicago, far north side, Chicago.
Yes.
Okay.
Because she asked me the other day, she was like, "Is it 1 o'clock? What time?" She asked me what each time zone. She said, "Oh, it's 12 here then." I just made sure.
I make sure.
On it. Gotta be prepared.
All right. Oh, welcome, Afro Beard Chick.
Welcome.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming on.
I ask everybody, tell us what do you do, your movement, what you stand for. I mean, Afro Beard Chick is pretty explanatory, but you got like a podcast and the whole blog. And
she's very Afrocentric because I'm looking at the ensemble, I'm looking at the background vibes, all that.
She got merch because she was right by Uncap Everything at the Fresh Fest. Yeah. So welcome, Afro Beer Chick. Tell us who you are, how you did it, and your favorite beers and all that kind of good stuff.
All right. Well, I started my beer journey. Oh God, it's been almost 11 years now. I know a lot of you my husband, we were dating at the time. He bought me a CS. It was a man that bought me a beer.
Yep.
He was just, I mean,
she said that at the time.
we were dating at the time. Now we're married. But
you got a ring on it. There you go.
Yeah, he was just getting into it, and like he has like Chicago Beer Geeks, Chicago Beer Pass. So it was like picture fall 2009. He brought home Sophie, and it's Goose Island, which is now sold out.
Sold out.
But it's a Belgian.
Sold up.
Right. And when he gave it to him, I was like, man, this shit ain't good. This is good. This is actual. This doesn't taste like Miller. Doesn't taste like Heineken. Honestly, that was the last time I even had like a Heineken or Corona or anything. Like I was chasing, different styles of beer since. So when I first started getting into beer, I was all about the Belgians. I didn't like the IPAs because my first IPA was Hop Slam, and that was just too much for me. So then I was like, man. And then over the course of years, now I love IPAs. I love stouts. And even like now my palate is still changing because when I first started getting into stouts, I had to have like the dessert sweet heavy stouts where like the creme brulee from like Southern Tier. Now I'm noticing I don't want the super sweet dessert stouts. I like them to be more mellowed out. But not as many adjuncts. It's okay. I want to taste the coconut and the vanilla in it, but I don't want it to be like give you cavities type sweet either. Right. So, hanging out with him and his friends, I'm like, shit, I'm tired of hanging out with y'all dudes. That's, all I'm hanging out with dudes around beer. I was like, I need to find some females. Like, what the hell is going on? So at the time, I came across Girls Playing Out. They were a beer club for women, and they started in Indianapolis, and at the time, they had, like, chapters in, like, 12 different cities, and it was still growing. So I was like, hey, can I start one here in Chicago? It was like, go for it. So I did that for a few years, and at the time, my daughters, they were still small, so I had to kind of step back because it was hard going to beer events and drinking, and I still got to be a responsible parent, so I stepped away for a minute. But now that I'm a semi-empty nester, I got one kid out the house. She's in the Air Force, and I have my baby girl. She's 15. She's now entering her sophomore year in high school.
You like. Right.
Out the house.
Bottles of bourbon at the house.
Shots, beer, everything.
So about 3 years ago, it was so funny because I went natural with my hair 5 years ago. So
yes,
I don't miss the creamy crack at all. So my coworker was like, Shalonda, you always talking shit about beer. You know what you're talking about. You have this kick-ass Afro, you should call yourself Afro Beer Chick. I was like, man, I'm rocking with that. I love it. So that's where, after you people say, oh, why are you bringing race into your name? It's not about my race, it's about my hair. Because right now I'm looking like silly under here, but when my Afro is out, it's big and it's beautiful. You know what I'm saying?
Ain't no wrong with that.
So ever since then, I just kind of been doing my thing. I have my blog, I have my merch. And then, not too long ago, I started a podcast. I mean, I kind of stopped at episode 5 because it's like, what the fuck am I talking about? I've been cooped up in my, in my house since March. I don't want to talk on my full wall, so I kind of do need to get back to my podcast. This Chick Talks Beer. Really, I should really rename it This Chick Talks Beer and Other Shit because I was talking big shit. And I was drunk on my podcast 90% of the time.
That's okay.
I'm swearing words on
It's your podcast. You can be drunk if you want.
Do what you want.
Right. This Schlich Talk Beer.
My day job, I'm IT, I'm a techie, that's what my background is in, computer engineering, forensics, network security, doing that. I'm a mom, 2 beautiful babies, love them, like I said, to my empty nester. I have a 4-legged dog who's an asshole. He's a puppy, but he's an asshole. He's a cute asshole. So it's like, I'm just kind of doing my thing. Real estate on the side, also freelance makeup artist. Calm
down.
Hold on, you do makeup too? Hold on.
She said she was a half empty nester, so she got plenty of time now. She's like, I'm doing everything.
Listen. They could too. Shit, I need you to know, but damn.
Afro Beer Chick, what kind of real estate you into?
Man, you know what? Honestly, I just got my license like it's been like a year and a half. So it's basically residential. You know, you really get my feet wet because here in Chicago it's a big buyer's market. I didn't do it for the love of real estate. I just really did it because I wanted to make some extra damn money. You know what I'm saying?
Right. I had them streams.
Multiple streams.
Income, so it's just kind of
bad.
It's been fun.
So you said Chicago's a buyer's market? You said Chicago's a buyer's market?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. You know what? Here's the thing. Chicago has 77 different neighborhoods just within the city. We're not talking about Chicago land. We're not talking about the suburbs. We're talking about the city and stuff. Like, for instance, I live in Rogers Park, which is the farthest north point of Chicago. And this is the most diverse section of the city of Chicago. We have each, like, for instance, my daughter, when she graduated from her middle school, in that one school of 640 students, they had 77 different cultures in that one school.
Yo, that's half of how many people live in Hollywood.
I was about to say that's the half of the population.
Right. That's the population of Hollywood. Where I live, that's how diverse it is. But then you have the South Side, when people hear about, the violence that's going on. Well, it's pockets. It's not all of Chicago. You have the pockets. Of course, you have like Inglewood. But right next to Inglewood, you have Woodlawn, which were the University of Chicago. They took over and started buying, land to expand out. So now what used to be a predominantly Black neighborhood is now you have Asians, white people, from everybody over there. You know what I'm saying? So
right.
I'm looking to buy some. There's different pockets of violence in the city, but not the whole city.
I'm looking to buy some property next by the Obama Library.
Man, I'm trying to tell. Look, here's the thing: if anybody, and this is why I've been trying to preach to my people, because like even right now, my husband and I, we're looking to actually buying a house. And also buying, rental property. I said right now, like the South Shore area of Chicago, which is predominantly Black. And yes, it is violent heavy over there as of right now. But because they're trying
you already know what's going to happen.
The path of progress is going right through there.
Right. Mm-hmm. Because they're trying to extend Lakeshore Drive, man, if you have property or if you don't have property over, you need to try to get over there now. Because like what they did with Cabrini Green, where it was all basically, projects. Now it's $500,000 condos over there.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what they did in Detroit. That's exactly what they did in Detroit.
I was about to say, Denise, it's just like that in Detroit.
It's so bad. That was like, damn, really? What did we do?
I was trying to get my people on. Like, look, we have programs with the fact that you have to be disciplined enough to actually sit there and go through a process. Like, I'm steady trying to educate them. Like, for instance, a program called NACA. NACA doesn't even go with your credit score. To help the home buying. They want to know, okay, if you can pay your bills at least on time every month. Your credit score can be a 400, and they're gonna still find
a 400.
Which is crazy. Like,
they're stop blending. I've been trying to put look, go get you a house, go get you a building, go get you something.
Go get you some land. Go get you something. Go get some land.
I'm about to go.
I talk to you about that. Talk to you about that.
It'll be
I'm
nothing
definitely
a
gonna
month.
be texting you after this.
Seriously, that's what I'm saying.
Chicago.
You about to get hit up. I'm sorry. You about to get hit up.
So with the whole project, like Denise, she's working on her book. I had actually, secured funding for to do a documentary called Being Black in Craft, because our stories are not told. I was lining up interviews. I was ready to take off work for a whole year, and I was ready to make that sacrifice to do that.
Oh, you secure real funding for it.
Yeah, real funding.
I had real funding.
Right.
Like, okay, I'm off work for the whole year. I'm about to travel around.
And then freaking COVID hit.
Man, that goddamn COVID. I wasn't ready for it.
That COVID.
COVID hit.
It's terrible.
COVID.
It stopped so many dreams, man. So many dreams. I'm mad as hell about it.
And then a lot of people didn't know, like where I live in Rogers Park, we have like no bottle shops. And actually in Chicago, Black-owned liquor stores are less than 9%.
Wow.
I was actually in the process of opening up a bottle shop with a cigar lounge in the back, but COVID hit and it stopped that shit. So it's like COVID is just messing everything up right now.
Jesus.
It does suck.
It hasn't stopped my drinking though.
Yeah,
Girl,
but you like
curbside pickup, buying offline. Listen.
Lou, you are muted and you just straight talking.
That bourbon game is strong right now. She got 15 bottles.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
Listen, she did. She like, look.
Afro bourbon chick.
Alcoholic chicken.
I'm actually more alcoholic than anything. Alcohol chick.
Whatever. On Twitter, I did secure that Afro bourbon chick though not too long ago. Just
Okay.
Did you really?
She plays no games. She plays no
I
games.
don't play no games. We all about
Secure
we all
funding
about
for her documentary.
Right.
She in real estate, IT, beer. She got merch. Oh, Afro beer chick.
Gotta be that chameleon. You know that's what we are. We chameleons.
You know,
Yeah, she do a lot. Like, damn, Renaissance.
You gotta do. Here's the thing. My grandfather always taught me, and I'm so thankful that he was in my life. My grandfather always taught me to have good credit. Because if I had followed my parents, I wouldn't be able to buy a stick of gum.
Damn.
Hey, speak truth though.
Like, look,
gotta do better than the others before you.
Right, have great credit because that's what's going to help you get along.
Doors.
Right.
That's what I'm trying to teach, my kids. So it's like, and it's with that you have to have multiple streams of income. He's like, you gotta play the game like like they do. You know what I'm saying? So don't let them stop you. You gotta find your niche and you gotta grow with it. But here's the thing: unlike some of my people, and as much as I love my people, they don't help to try to bring up the next person. So if I see somebody else coming into the game and they want to learn, I'm going to help them. I'm going to give them share everything that I know so they can learn and help. And that's the thing. It's like my people, like I love y'all, I love us, but sometimes it's like we stingy with that information. Don't be stingy.
Right, exactly.
Girl,
I say it all the time. Like, yeah, go ahead.
Like I say, that's something that is not talked about at all. It's like this. I need to hold on to this information. It's like, listen, you're still going to be okay because you are steps ahead
be
of
that
me.
product steward.
It's enough for everybody.
Be that steward. Be that steward because that's the only way any of us gonna learn. We learn from each other.
You've already made penetration with it, right? Like you made it into that space. Now spread it out to allow for more people to get in. And then again, you move on to the next step. You do the same thing, but I don't think people really.
In order for your network to grow, you have.
Rob, like you said, penetration.
Robert, what are you?
Because everything says penetration. You already made it in.
You're talking about penetrating.
She is on brand.
You know what? Y'all mess.
I know.
In order for your net worth to grow, you have to be open to grow your network.
Right.
And that's something that to realize. You know what I'm saying? So it's like be open. You know what I'm saying? I just want to share my information. I just want to share anybody who needs help. I'm there. Like even like newcomer makeup artists, I'm more selective now with my customers because of the whole Instagram thing. They want like $25 for a full face of makeup. Nah, I ain't got time for that. In order for me to open my kit, it got to be worth something. But however, I'm gonna teach you what I know rather than charge you $1,500 to sit through a workshop for some shit you could have, researched on YouTube.
Girl,
she's spitting. She's spitting bars. Right.
I'm gonna tell you this right now. I am really bad with makeup. I would pay you to tell me how I need to.
Here's the thing. You ain't gotta pay me. I've been doing Zooms to do step by step. So whenever I do my next one, I'll let you know. Let me know, because I could be like, okay, this shit. Look, tomboy through and through. Okay, like I'm like the fuck eyeshadow mascara. Okay, wait, man, a primer. We talk about paint? No, you need shit. But but like I said, this whole ride has been fun. It's been interesting. Then you have the whole diversity and inclusion. Then I don't know if you guys heard about the email that I got, which was fun. Yeah. Caused Dr. J to come and rally behind me, and that has been an experience, within itself. Don't get me wrong, I still get some people who are bothered, and that's okay, be bothered. You do you, and I'm gonna still do me. And I think what people understand, people don't realize that I don't do Afro Big Chick for profit, and I don't do it for notoriety. So which means I don't give a fuck what I say on my page. If you mad, you mad. If I lose you, I lose you. So people are like, oh, you still gotta be correct. Fuck being correct. We're talking about me and my livelihood as me being a Black woman in America. If you don't like it, hit that unfollow button. Right. Because at the end of the day, I don't give a damn if you follow me or not. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I'm gonna always keep it 100, not for just for myself, but for my people, because I have daughters, I have nephews, I have a husband, I have a mom, I have somewhat of a father. You know what I'm saying? Just like
you shouldn't even mention them shit. Damn it.
She did. That was the petty right there. That was the petty.
You shouldn't even mention them.
That was the alcohol. That was somewhat of
right.
You should have mentioned them.
Someone, okay? Someone.
Petty at the end.
That was that Rosarita she made earlier.
Yesterday. That was yesterday.
Oh, that was yesterday? Okay.
Get it right. Yesterday, okay? Yesterday.
Right, it's crazy.
That was yesterday. And who said that I was going to be drunk by now? I'm not drunk.
Okay.
Oh, okay. That's exactly what a drunk person said.
Yeah.
I ain't drunk.
And then takes another sip. Cheers.
Who said I'd be drunk? Wrong.
Let me double fist this shit.
Double fist.
Yeah, do it.
Quit playing with me.
That is funny.
They don't understand. They don't understand, girl. They learning. They learning.
But I put alcohol in my ice cream, okay? So don't play with me. Quit playing.
Okay.
Yes. Put steak, put a little bit of beer.
I mean, at what point is it a problem?
Never.
Not when you grown.
It's a problem, but there's no liquor involved.
Right?
When I stop drinking, it's a problem.
What you got in that cereal? Milk? Nope, that is not milk.
That's Bailey's.
Bailey's.
This is why I blame COVID. Because of COVID, out of boredom comes creativity. So I told my sister the other day, like, I've been cooking a lot with blues. Like, I made a weed bourbon pound cake, which was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it was some. They gave me some OG Kush. I made it. I'm not a smoker.
That sounds
good. I'm not a smoker, but I will eat edibles because I do have lupus. So like this whole COVID thing has me on edge with the, because my symptoms mimic that of lupus, of COVID.
Right.
So they gave me some OG Kush and I made that and put some bourbon in it. Man, it was amazing. I made a frozen yogurt with plantation rum, pineapple rum.
Are you going to share these recipes? That's all I want to know.
I have a whole new platform.
I told my sister, don't be surprised if I come out with a book called The Boozy Bitch.
Girl, listen, when you do, I want a signed copy. I want a signed copy. I want a signed copy, okay? I will pay extra for a signed
Man, either that
and Bruce and Banner made all this come together.
There we go.
You men actually got something to do with it. I like that. Look at that.
That's good for something after all.
Listen, we are. We definitely are.
Good for something.
We definitely are.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate that.
Good for something.
Round of applause for us.
Yeah. Is this still our podcast?
Okay, we're finished with them. You can actually kick them all off.
Oh my God.
Off the podcast.
Mute them all.
Like,
Y'all can't get rid of us.
No.
Again, another multifaceted. We got 3 multifaceted women on here, so it's hard to ask a question because you'd be like, where do I go?
Yeah, keeping you on your toes.
You guys are great.
I don't know. I would say hands down so far, this has been my favorite podcast that I've been on.
Oh, that's what's up. This is history in the making.
Lively. I really enjoyed this one.
We could have told you that. You didn't have to tell us that. We could have told you that.
I think it's been because of the ladies, though, Afro Beard Chick. I think it's because of the ladies.
But we bring the ladies together. We actually go out and get
Come on, man. Stop not trying to give us the credit. Right. You deserve some credit now.
I give you a little credit.
Outside out of them because they ain't got no act right.
Right. You know what?
Oh, we don't got that. Ain't it our podcast? Is it our podcast still? I think it's theirs now.
Right.
The three of us took it over. Sorry.
That's okay. And I'm pretty sure we've had that
Hold
same.
on. I gotta pour some more.
Same thing. We gotta pour some more. I don't know. I think we might have to have these ladies on separately, one by one.
Right.
Man,
No, we're a package now.
I'm loving it.
The three of us always.
Yes.
Always come together.
This is a great collaboration.
Yeah, they'll never be right back over here again. This is the first and the last.
Not the first and the last.
No, this is first.
For me,
You guys
I
had
was
us first before
looking
we blew up. Okay?
I was
Y'all can say, hey, they started here. That's
Right.
what happened.
Oh, Fresh Fest. I heard you say Fresh Fest.
Yeah, I was looking forward to Fresh Fest. Last year was my first time going, and I really
Ours
had
too.
like.
Ours
here's
too.
the thing.
Listen,
Here's
I
the thing
want
about
to go.
Fresh Fest. So last year when I went, and this is what I loved about it, I shared an Airbnb with a bunch of people who I didn't know before
Yes.
Fresh Fest. So we got to talking on IG. So if you hear about like Brewing Change collab, Ale and Nazreen,
Yes.
Pastor Hops James, Brandon Montgomery.
Oh, that's the whole Jackson
Jackson
Street
Syndicate.
Syndicate.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
Jackson Street.
Syndicate.
Yeah, we see it.
Yeah, they're the syndicate. So
Yeah.
Syndicate.
Oh, we
we
got
got
it.
to know each other before we shared that Airbnb, and it was amazing. And then we ended up throwing one of the dopest bottle shares that they're still talking about to this day. Like, it was some last minute shit. Like, we left, I think, Southern Tier, and they were like, hey, do you guys want to, have a party at the house? I was like, oh, okay, cool, we have a bottle share.
Yeah.
We went to the store, grabbed some stuff, blasted it out. Then the next thing you know, about 7 o'clock that night, people started rolling through with coolers of beer. Like, that bottle share was epic.
I heard about it.
We were interviewing people, so we
Yeah,
couldn't
we were
come.
working.
Yeah.
We were working.
We were working. We
I'm
definitely
so
were working.
mad I missed it. I didn't even go to Fresh Fest, man. I was
Oh,
mad as hell.
yeah,
I was
you
like,
missed that. That was
damn.
nice.
Be on the lookout.
I know. I was busy with
Wrong
work.
answer.
I couldn't do it, man. I
Here's the thing,
cried.
but for me, like, I had an amazing time at Fresh Fest, but because I did not bring anybody to help me work the table, I was stuck at my table all day.
Oh.
I was like, God
Oh.
damn it. So next time, I'm just gonna hire somebody to help
Yeah.
work that table.
Okay.
And you know
Got
what I'm
to.
saying? Like, the fact is, it's like I was so looking for it. Unfortunately, even if they are able to go through with this year, which I did tell Dave, and like, it's dope. But however, I would love to see you guys do it next year instead of this year, because for one, you got to think people have been financially impacted really hard. People have been off work. They're trying to get their gatherings back together. And I feel that if you do it, if you still are able to continue with it this year, you're not going to get the participation that you have for the last couple of years. So do it bigger and better, next year. Because even though I was ready, I won't be able to make it this year because my job has said, look, whenever y'all come back, don't ask for vacation for at least 30 days.
Damn, really?
Oh.
Right.
No,
Because
seriously.
I've been out since March.
Right.
That was going to be my thing. We're scheduled to go back in June. That's 3 months that I've been out. Now I
Right.
got to be like, hey, in 2 months, I'm about to be gone for a couple
Right.
of days.
I could probably, I know for a fact, I would be able to do it this year. Like last year was just, it wasn't going to work. I mean, when you're in consulting, it's like, it's one of those where it's like you gotta be at,
You gotta be on start. You gotta be on point. Your projects, everything. You gotta be where you at.
Listen, consulting pays. Okay,
Oh, it
you
does.
can get me all you want. Consulting
Right,
pays.
it's all paid. You might be on that plane every week from like Sunday through Thursday.
Oh,
but
honey, no. See,
She said, I got a
the place
PhD.
that I picked, see, if you look at the larger consulting firms,
Uh-huh.
yeah, you are Sunday through Thursday. But the
Uh-huh.
one that I picked, since we're science related and more like with pharmaceuticals, I ain't gotta travel that much. I travel, but not as much.
okay,
See,
Slow
you
clap.
you gotta get it. Gotta pick.
gotta get paid, and you gotta pick
That's
the
nice.
right one. You know what I'm
Okay,
saying?
okay, that's
You know
what's
what I'm
up.
saying?
She said, I got this PhD. I don't flex. I'm
got it
about
covered. I
that.
got
I
it
use
covered.
this.
That's
You know
right.
what I'm saying?
And you
I
got
use
to.
this.
That's right.
Everything else is extra, but that's
Yeah.
I want to see Fresh Press grow bigger and better every single year because it's such an amazing platform.
Seriously.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that even though it was created for us, but it's not just for us. It brings, because I have so many white people come up to my table like and show love. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And
that's
however,
good. Wait,
like,
did any of them ask to touch your hair? Did any of them ask to touch your hair?
If somebody had touched my hair in Fresh Press, I promise somebody would have got smacked. Because that's a big issue with me. Like I smacked the shit out of somebody in Marshall for doing that. Like she just and touched my hair.
But here's the thing. Now I got to ask you a question. I got to ask you this because I've had this conversation with other Black women. Now, if they come up and touch your hair without asking, that's a whole you're destined to get smacked, cursed out, whatever, right? But let's say they ask you the question.
No.
Hey, can I touch your hair?
No.
How do you guys feel about it? Because it's a mixed bag with a lot of Black women that I know.
I don't know. You wash your hair.
That's the thing. Don't touch me.
Yes.
You're in my personal space. Don't touch my hair. Don't touch my shoulder. Don't touch my hand. Don't touch me. If I can't touch your face, don't touch me.
And then you know what?
Going on.
Feisty.
Some nasty ass oils all up in my curls anyway.
See, and now here's the thing. I remember I've had a few of them ask me when I have my hair like this, when I used to rock my Afro. And I used to say, before you ask that question, is it okay if I touch your hair? And you get a mixed response. Some of them would say, yeah, I don't care. Go ahead and touch my hair. And I'm like, okay, all right. You're okay with being touched, right? But I'm like, but see, the difference is for you are looking at me like I'm some type of experiment or some type of
a fetish. That's nasty.
Or a fetish, yes. Or whatever you want to call it, right? Like, it's like, I understand if you've been in an all-white neighborhood, never seen a Black person before, you don't know what the hair texture feels like, so it's very different for you. Like, this standing up on its own don't require mousse. This shit is all just the hair itself.
It's a lot of work to do that.
You're like, how the hell does that happen? You define gravity without mousse? And it's like, for them, I understand why you're kind of like thrilled by it and want to touch it. But it's like, if I can't go up to you and touch your blonde locks, it's like, why do you think you can touch my pinky curls?
How can you? I was in a store one day, okay, and I'm standing in line at checkout. And here's the thing that they don't understand is that when it comes to Black women's hair, shrinkage is the devil. So, like, my hair may be shrunk out, but my hair actually hair. There was a woman in line behind me, and she literally, now mind you, unprovoked, I hadn't even had a conversation with her. She pulled a section of my hair down, and it came down my back. I sat down without words, and I smacked the shit out of her.
As you should have.
That sounds accurate. That sounds right. She asked for that.
She asked for that.
Yeah,
she was like,
definitely deserved.
She was like, "Oh my God, that's assault." I was like, "I don't give a damn." I'm going.
No, it's assault that you touch me.
Yeah.
Right.
I was at work, so I was like, you know what? I'm about to call my job, let them know I'm going to jail today because I'm gonna beat your ass if you for touching my hair. Like you. What makes you think that you're that entitled that you could come and up to someone and just pull on their hair?
You know what?
She could have Googled that first. What would happen if I touched a Black woman's hair?
That's definitely in the
it's in Google.
That's in the algorithm.
She's like, I just wanted to film because it looks so soft and it's longer than what it actually is. I was like, I don't give a fuck.
No, I don't think have any Black people ever had the fascination to touch a white person's hair? Why is this?
No.
I mean,
I'll
tell you this much.
I don't like this.
I personally, since I grew up in Detroit, right? All I saw was Black people, right? I didn't really meet white people until college. Right. So for me, I understand when they're like, well, I've never seen it. So like you see white people and they would complain about bad hair, oily hair. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, what the fuck do you mean your hair is oily and flat? I'm like, I don't know their hair. Like they don't know my hair. So, I mean, for me, I was like, okay, well, let me see what oily hair looks like. And when they showed it, I'm like, that's what the fuck you complained about? You try battling with your hair in the morning. Right. You gotta sit here and say, please be nice today. I got to spray. I cream, and then the hair's like, oh, maybe.
Man.
I might conform today. I might conform.
You're trying to pick this out, and the pick getting stuck. You could break. I've broken brushes in my hair, and the brush is still in there, but the handle in my hand. I'm like, and this is wood, not plastic. This is wood. Wood. You know?
What's that?
You complain about bad hair? Bad hair.
Afro, your mic is muted.
We can't hear you.
I don't know if it's muted, but it's not muted, but she just can't hear.
We can't hear you.
We can't hear
The
her.
computer couldn't handle it. It couldn't handle it, so she put too much fire out. It's like too much.
And then she talked about smacking somebody. That was like.
I'll say while we wait for her to get her audio that it's not just white people that want to touch your hair. I work for a major retailer in management. And in our big manager meeting before COVID hit, I had braids in my hair, and I fluctuate. I think when I interviewed, one time I had straight hair. The second time I had curly hair.
Yep.
But at this particular time, I had braids. And an Asian woman told me, oh my God, your hair is so Jamaican. Can I touch you?
So
Jamaican.
Jamaican.
Maybe she got an accent. She said amazing.
Yo, you know how many white people?
She also asked me if I would do a dance
with braids in their hair. They always get their hair braided.
She went to the islands. That's what it was. She went to the islands. Was like, oh, all black people are like this.
She asked you if you would do a dance.
Yeah. After your hair is so Jamaican, you know the little dance. You should do the dance. No, what you need to do is go grab that sparkling water and sit your ass down at this table so we can.
Oh, she probably got a smack too.
Right, you know
what was she? I could have said, I'd have said something racist as hell to her. I'd have said, well, you should give me a massage, motherfucker.
Listen now. I'm half Asian, so
I know.
you better roll it down now. Because I don't like with the racism either way.
Long time.
She about to put you on this. Hold on.
I only said that because I know she.
You know, the thing about, when it comes to black people and hair, and here's the thing, like it took me to have daughters to really learn, because the generation of curses always passed down with, oh my God, you know, your hair is too nappy, whatever have you. So honestly, I'm gonna be honest with y'all, I didn't go now just by chance, like, oh my God, I want to experience something new. It took my oldest daughter, to make me go natural, because she had so many issues with hair. Because like my mom, I passed down the idea of your hair need to be relaxed because, you know, it's too thick, it's too nappy, whatever have you. And I didn't want her to go through that alone. So when I cut the relaxer on her hair, which after that it grew beautifully, I'm like, you know what? I need to go through this with you. And ever since, you know, it changed my perspective. You know what I'm saying? Because like even now, like my mom, she'll make comments to my kids like, what you doing with your hair? I'm like, what's wrong with the hair? The hair is beautiful. What you talking about? You know, I have to kind of go there with my mom.
Go a little checker a little bit.
Oh my, it ain't finna happen. I have to go there with sometimes. But you know, so it's like, it's not just the white people, it's also our people, because like I've had some of my own brothers to tell me like, you know what, I couldn't date you because you got natural hair. I'm like, you know what?
Girl.
Fine, I don't want to date you anyway.
Girl. Have you seen the movie Nappily Ever After?
Mm-hmm.
Girl, that whole thing with the mother and talk about you need to wake up early to straighten out your hair and look good for your man in the morning before he wake up. I was like, look, you go see with this bonnet, okay? And if you don't like it, you can kiss.
I will say this. I'm thankful. Like, I have friends who have husbands who tell them that they will not take them out if they don't have a fresh sew-in.
Girl.
What do you know about a sew-in?
He know.
Like their husbands prefer that they have the weave in their hair. Like my husband, like, you put that shit in your hair, we gonna have a problem. Like, he don't want no weave. He want it natural.
I want natural fine. Natural fine.
Like Sealy, I'm good on that. You know what I'm
saying? She's a Sealy.
Yeah.
You and me must never part.
It hurts when I comb it.
This shit hurts.
Hurts her.
Listen, but that's beautiful. I gotta say, that is beautiful that your husband said that, because, and I think the thing is that there's such.
I'm gonna be honest with you. It's not like that. So I'm like, look,
But you know what? I mean, honestly, that's a big thing, though. With you think about it. So, of course, we got to worry about other people outside of Black culture wanting to touch our hair, right? But within the Black culture, you've got that issue where it's like we got to deal with colorism, right? That's the main thing. But then you also got to deal about the hair. That's the other thing too, right? And it's like I feel like, there's this narrative that's pushed out that Black men want, like a lot of Black women who have straight hair, which is true. Some of them do. But there are a lot of Black men out there who do appreciate.
I do not want that.
Look,
hell no.
I don't think y'all get enough credit.
That's what I was thinking.
I don't think a lot of Black men get enough credit for the ones who do want that, right? Who are okay with that.
Right.
Oh wait, you went.
And will be very vocal about asking you, why do you have that weave in your hair? Very vocal,
right?
Is that a bad thing or a good thing?
No, I don't mind.
No, he's saying being very vocal of the opposite.
You went
there's people vocal about wanting it in, but there's also people that are vocal and adamant, like, why are you doing it?
Right. Yeah, like we always hear about people who want. We always hear about men who want your hair to be straightened, who want you to look a certain way. But there are also a lot of men who are very adamant about, I don't want weave.
Yeah,
I hear about that.
I don't care what you do.
Yeah, look, like me.
I don't care what you do with your hair. It's your hair.
You can do whatever you want, but if you're going to ask me, my preference is natural.
Right.
Nice.
Right.
If you ask me how do you want me to have my hair, like just have that shit out.
Right.
I'm like, I don't care if you want to cut it off, you want to keep it long. It's all to you. I don't care. But I've never been a big person in the hair anyway, long, short. If you want to get that Halle Berry or you want to go get a Caesar like I used to have.
Halle Berry, look, Halle Berry back in the day, she was man with the short hair.
Tony Braxton with them short haircuts changed the game.
All right.
Listen, her like back in the 90s.
What the hell's going on? That weave.
No, you can hear you. We can hear you now.
Okay, that weave money is my beer money, so ain't no way in hell.
Right.
Oh, right.
Weave is expensive. Weave is expensive. Okay.
But you know what's crazy though? Like a woman to say, "Don't cut your beard off," though. Won't they quit with a quickness? You better not cut that beard. Don't cut that mustache. Don't cut your hair off.
Let me tell you something here. I'm gonna tell you something.
You cut my mustache off as a bad look.
I'm gonna say, but here's the thing, right? Like if you meet a guy who had facial hair, right? That image is forever burned in here. As soon as he takes it off, but he doesn't have a chin. This is the thing. If you ain't got a chin, don't shave that shit off. Don't, because you're gonna go from jawline to nothing. Don't do it.
And I tell you all the time.
Yeah, that's true.
I tell you all the time.
Here go Rob. Here you go.
If you have a
jawline. See, but Rob, you got a jawline.
Right.
Okay?
But I always tell them if they have a beard and you cut it off, you kind of do look like a child molester. I'm just saying. Chill. Exactly.
When you cut this mustache off, it's a bad look, bro. It's a bad look for me.
Right. As much as I love him, I do not cut your beard, because he went short one time. I said, dude, you look like a child molester.
Right.
When I met you and we started dating, you had this big fluffy beard, and then and he went long and short. I'm like, dude, you like a child molester. I'm not saying.
Are y'all telling me that child molesters don't grow beards? This is some bullshit.
They don't.
I'm pretty sure it ain't bearded child molesters.
I haven't seen one.
They're like, look, smooth. They smooth.
They gotta go to high school. How you get into high school with a full beard?
Right.
Thank you.
Exactly.
Thank you.
These niggas in high school with full beards. So get out of here.
You can't get into 6th grade. Definitely can't get into kindergarten with a full beard.
A whole different type of damn bourbon mixing around with y'all. I'm still drinking.
Jesus.
I've been watching you. I done seen you go back there a couple times.
I went and got that 1792.
I saw that. Yeah, I saw that. I saw that.
Good night. Good night.
You could have took a bet. I should have took a bet. Like, who's gonna
Why? We would have won. You drunk.
Yeah.
In that chair, though. She ain't posing in that chair.
She's not house drunk. She outside drunk.
Yeah.
No, she not.
She's drunk. She fucking up her
drunk.
sound and shit. She fucking up her sound.
That's technical. No, that's all technical. That ain't on her. That's not on her.
She work at IT, so you know she fucking it up.
No, my earbuds died, but I'm not even slurring my words.
I would say she IT. The way that you know when she drunk if the phone falls and you're like, oh wait, hold on, she just that's when you know she drunk. Okay, so when it does that shit right there.
Okay.
If I
Just a quick, you know, you're like that's the type of thing you go, oh shit.
Yeah, if you hear that, oh.
That's drunk. She ain't drunk.
Yo, I have fun though. I have fun with this one.
Yeah. All right.
what's gonna be my next bird to mess around with y'all?
Yeah.
Next one. What's the next one?
I just asked that.
No.
I think we had 2 hours.
Yeah, we got 2 hours.
Oh yeah, we are.
This can go for at least 4.
Oh yeah, it definitely could.
They're gonna have to come back on.
We
No,
need
they're
to
a
take
package
a break,
deal.
Rob.
It can only be them 3 at the same time.
Exactly. You gotta have a
It's a
screen. You gotta have it back. This is magic. Magic.
They kind of took over the podcast. They talked to themselves. Well,
Yeah, it was. They definitely took over the
I
podcast.
think so,
I love it
actually.
though. I
I know
love
we
it.
should all logged out.
y'all.
I was just on because I started the cast, so I could have just logged off and
yeah.
logged back on.
Right, y'all could have
Yeah.
we would have been all right.
Right.
Well, that's beautiful that we were able to coordinate this.
Yeah, I'm glad we connected
That's
you
it.
ladies. I'm glad you ladies got connected because of us.
No,
We'll have to do just a happy hour.
I didn't know Kavonna beforehand, but Kinky and I, we have been chatting back and forth.
Yeah. What I said was I'm glad all 3 of you guys got connected because of us.
Yeah,
You know
because
what? Always just want credit for some shit.
Watch your words, Rob.
Always.
I was
Always.
just saying. I was
Don't
just
do
saying
that.
because
Don't do
Denise
that,
and
Lou.
Afro
This
Beer
is
had a whole
small as Holland, Texas.
No, don't reference men and then do this, dude. Don't do
Man,
that.
I'm confident. I'm all right. I'm confident in
Don't
all
do
of
that.
it.
You don't want that associated with
I
you.
want a lot of bit of
I'm
credit.
fine. I said just a little bit of credit. I said a
I
little
want a
bit
lot
of
of bit of credit.
I want Texas, not just Holland.
I want a lot of credit.
I want a lot of credit.
So we can follow each other, so I can learn how to keep my damn 2 plants that I have in my house alive.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's
There you
right.
go.
The first thing
I'm here.
you gotta make sure that they're female.
I don't know.
Female, I was gonna say,
You can name them whatever you want to.
But they're green and they in pots, so they still alive at this point. That's all I know.
They're doing great. You're giving them so much love. We just have to figure out if you
talk
give
to them
too
positively.
much.
Kavonna said all that until Afro Beer Chick turned the camera around. Them players are dead as shit. You giving them lots of love.
Don't say that. My heart will be so sad.
You should just shrivel up and dry.
No.
Brown.
Don't put that on my girl.
Oh, she's showing. Hold on, she's showing y'all. Let's see.
Let me see.
Hold on.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Probably need to repot,
No droopy
but I think it looks good.
Listen to her. You probably need to repot and probably
No
add some
droopy leaves.
cycloglycerides.
Oh, listen. The first plant, you probably need to repot. That means that you've given it so much love. It's time to give it a bigger house. You're doing so
There
good.
you go. There you go.
Uh-oh.
It's growing. It's doing great.
She's like, ah, shit, that's more work than what I wanted.
But it's dead.
Yeah, you got to
Repot
repot.
it.
What?
Give it some good organic soil.
You about to mail it to you, Kavonna.
So low key, I was about to be like, so can you hit me up on the side? I'm gonna send you a pot and
We're
some
gonna show you.
soil. You're gonna be. It's doing so good right now.
That's awesome.
Kavonna's like the Bob Ross of painting. I mean, of
Right.
plants.
Happy
It's
trees.
so good.
Yeah.
So lovely.
He sounds like a
Oh,
plant
it's so
whisperer.
great.
You're doing so well.
Happy trees.
No, it really is. It's nice and green. It's happy. It's standing tall. You just need to give the first one a
Trees
new
in the
pot
corner. That happy
because
little
it's
tree.
ready for bigger, like for its roots to expand.
You hear the teacher? You hear the teacher in her coming out?
All right.
You're doing great.
I have fun, guys. I have
All
fun.
Yeah, man. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you,
Before we
ladies, for
wrap-
coming on.
Absolutely. They all get a round of applause for that.
Yes,
This was a good
All
one.
right, before we go,
Absolutely. Before we go, though, we have to find out where we can find you on IG and YouTube and TikTok. Got it.
Shit.
So, keep it says, where can they find you at?
Kinky Sudz, where can they find you?
Look at me, I'm up here dancing. My bad. Only on Instagram. That's it for right now.
Only on Instagram, Kinky Sudz.
Renegade.
I'm following. I'm a follower now. I'm a follower.
I love it. I appreciate the follow. I really do.
Next.
Kavonna.
You can find me on Instagram. I have a private page. I've only opened it up for like the next 2 or 3 days.
Oh,
oh, really? Okay.
Let me fit in that window.
What is happening on this page?
Only fans.
I'm just really like a quiet person. I don't need all these randoms trying to follow me. But it's Kayla Shea, KLASHAE 422. You can find my plant life, my brews. If you're a reader, I have a highlight for books. All of that.
Already following. I've fit into that group of followers already.
Right. You made it, man.
For a limited time only, you have made
it. You only got 2 more days.
High key, but I am going to delete a couple of people if they follow me and I don't like them.
Wait. Repeat that name again, because I'm trying to find it.
I think we're following each other already. It's K Lachey, LASHAE 422.
Is that your birthday?
No, I was born on Earth Day.
You know. That makes sense why you love plants, girl. That makes sense.
So
that totally makes sense.
Do you believe in grounding then too as well?
No,
Where people have
I've never even heard of that a day in my life.
No, I'm saying grounding, where you take your shoes off and put your feet in the grass every now and then because you got to get in touch with the earth, and it takes out toxic.
See how she put that foot up? It is cute.
I didn't say. Never mind.
Like, she getting dirt.
Never mind.
Moving on. Next.
Afro Beer Chick, where can they find you?
Afro Beer Chick on all the social medias: Twitter, IG, Facebook. There you go.
Yo,
that's right.
Website, www.afrobeerchick.com.
That's right. Hit him with it. Lou?
For all your beer needs, Lou Belgium. For all your t-shirt needs and the Mars and Peas, I am on them Instagrams.
Nice.
Dev?
Dev, you can find me on Instagram at DevonAaron_the_great.
And
ask about me.
Why?
Exactly. Why?
And you can find me on Instagram at Real Toyota and on Instagram and Facebook at Delaware on Grind.
Right. And you can find Bruising Banter Podcast at Bruising Banter Podcast on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. You can check the podcast out on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, anywhere you listen to podcasts like Pandora and iHeartRadio. Make sure you like, listen, and subscribe, and tell your friends about it.
Hey Rob, you got a personal page, or you just on that?
Yo, don't do that.
I mean, I do.
Don't do it.
What? It's Rob G of BBP. Yeah. That's all. Yeah. It used to be Redemption 1914, but it's now Rob G of BBP.
1914.
Well, that was my line. That was my line name. Shout out to Phi Beta Sigma.
Ooh, no, he did not. No, he did not.
Shout out to all my Eastern Stars and Masonic brothers.
Ooh.
Yes. Wondering father of all. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, shout out all the black people still living. All right, let's go.
All right. This has been episode 73 of Bruising Banter Podcast. I want to thank
best one ever.
That's awesome.
We had better, but thanks for coming on.
I didn't say that.
I did not say that.
I didn't. Dev.
That was
canceled. He been canceled. Oh, the other 3 are okay, but he
I want to thank again Kavonna, Denise, aka Kinky Sudz, and Afro Beer Chick for coming on.
Yes, we had a blast.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate y'all.
Y'all appreciate it.
I'm empty.
Thanks for having us on.
Thank you.
And I'm saying thank you.
Right. Until next time.
Have a good week, everyone.
Peace.